Hello and welcome to the Outcast. I'm your host, HC, and with me is.
Wolf.
And today we are back with Trollhunters because a bit later than usual, because we kind of got distracted by another protagonist who wears blue most of the time. Wink, wink. But we're here again with Trollhunters Season 2.
Hmm.
So I assume, if I recall correctly from what you told me, you already watched the show by the time season two came out.
Yeah, I watched the first season more or less right when it came out.
Mhm. So can you recall what was like the hype around season two back at the day?
I'm old, HC. You can't ask me questions about the past. um, I remember people were fairly excited for it because it was getting a chance to see the Darklands, and I think a lot of people, myself included, were very much like it was a chance to see the series potentially go a bit more darker, right? Because you do have Jim trapped in this area, away from everyone and everything, and you know exactly that it changes a person somewhat. That does change things up and everything. And if I'm not
Mhm.
mistaken, this is where we got Jim's new voice actor. Yeah, was this
No, no, no,
season
no.
or was that next season?
This is season three.
Season three. That's right. Okay. So never mind then. Ignore that part. What new
I
voice
would
actor?
just I would just like to tell people that I suggested to Wolf maybe we should do season two and three in the same episode, and said, nah, I'm not really brushed up on season three. And then he does this.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, of course you don't. Of
Hmm.
course.
I'm
It
old.
totally it totally happened. But anyway, season three next week.
Yeah.
Back on season two. So for me there wasn't much of a hype because again, by the time I started watching the show, season three was like just coming out, or it either came out and was really new. So like I didn't have to wait much after the season one cliffhanger. I was able to jump right into season two. So I didn't have much of the hype surrounding it, but for all intents, I think season two is a step up.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. I think it definitely, this is what kind of brought the show into its own, and you kind of see all the characters just get to do more and be more, except
Mhm.
Arg.
Be- well, but Arg does his best. Arg does his best for what he has.
Hmm. Agreed.
But with that said, though, I think because what I like about season two, especially considering how the franchise developed afterwards, is that because obviously it picks up from where season one left off, and not only do we get to see more of more of this town, more of the problem with the trolls, and some alliances being made, some other character development for everyone. But what I also like is that they didn't just rush into the crossover aspect. Like they gave us one more season which is just troll hunters. I mean, looking back, we didn't start getting the teasers for the future of this franchise, of the entire Tales of Arcadia series. We didn't get teasers right away after we had like the establishing season. We got one more season to just understand this more.
Hmm.
And I appreciate it. We didn't just jump into the crossovers.
Yeah, I agree.
So with that said, we are going to do like a kind of a non-spoiler talk, but keep in mind that we are, even with the spoiler talks, we're not necessarily going to do this episode by episode. But non-spoilers talk is that we really like. I think I can speak for Wolf as well. We both really like this season. It's a step up from the first season. And what would you say, in your opinion, makes this season better outside of we get to continue the story?
I think for me, it was just an expansion of the characters and just seeing more of them, getting to like see them kind of come into their roles, and uh, the characters, just seeing them grow more. I think, right? I think that was the better thing. I think everyone had a lot more time, and it felt just more. The season felt more concise. I felt than the last one, right? The last one had so
Hmm.
many episodes, and that's not. I'm not complaining about that. That's actually not a bad thing. But I think for me, the first season felt like it slowed at parts, and it kind of like, all right, I'd kind of like to start speeding up again and getting a bit more
Yeah,
to the
and I
point a bit
think part
quicker.
of the reason, I think part of the reason for this is, that this season has only 13 episodes instead of 26.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. You have to be more careful with what you do and don't show at that point because you only have so much you can show. But I think a big thing of it though is right. You have Jim in the Darklands, and a lot of shows would be like, well, we're gonna spend many episodes with Jim in the Darklands, and he's never gonna get caught, and then all of a sudden he's gonna get caught, and then we're gonna spend a big time with him caught. No, Jim's caught first episode, like first
Yeah,
second episode, Jim's caught.
actually, this is something, how they handled the Darklands. I felt was actually really well done. And the reason I thought that is because, in other shows, the first episode would have been, we need to rescue Jim. And meanwhile, Jim is just, in the Darklands. Either he's caught, like you said, and like what happens, or he's like trying to stay hidden or anything, and all of that. But
Hmm.
I like the fact that it actually takes half a season for him to come back.
Yeah.
This is considering this was a cliffhanger and it was built up so much. I like that this place actually lives up to the hype. Like you said, Jim is caught in the first episode, and he has to survive being in jail there. He has to survive teaming up with people he doesn't want to team up with, and all
Hmm.
that stuff. And his friends, while they try to rescue him, this is not an easy task, and they have to do a lot in order to make this a reality.
Well,
So I like that it wasn't just a cliffhanger that we solved right away. It took time.
I also.
They
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
I, no, just want to say another way that they took their time with it, and I'm glad that it wasn't resolved quickly, and it actually takes them like half a season, give or take, to bring him back.
Well, I also like though that you see the cliffhanger, right? We come back from the cliffhanger, and Jim's already been in the Darklands for some time. Like time's passed since we saw season
Yeah.
one, right? So we've already
Hmm.
so we don't do any of the hey, let's establish Jim surviving in the Darklands and learning how to survive. It's like no, he knows how, he understands how, he's learned a little already. You can figure that
Hmm.
out. 2 months have passed. Let's get right into it. Here's Jim learning how. Here's us showing you Jim surviving. You already and they give you everything you need to know to understand how he learned to survive, right? What with
Hmm.
him like, fanning the fire to get the giant worm creature to come out so he can steal a couple eggs, and then him also using chalk to mark different ways because it can be, very maze like within the Darklands. Just,
Yeah.
it's I'm saying a lot. I need to stop that. But yeah, but
It's
my
okay.
point is though, I enjoy how they show you he's learned to survive. You don't need to see him learning to survive. He's already learned that part. You just need to see a small bit of him surviving. Now you understand it. Let's jump straight into it now. Let's not waste our time here, right?
Yeah. And again, I like that time skip not only because we need to establish how Jim can survive there, but it's also time passed where his friends were looking for him, and it ups the urgency of the matter of getting
Hmm.
him back.
But
Like it's a small detail, but it actually matters a lot in the long run.
mhm. And it also shows, right? Like you've seen these characters training, you've seen these characters grow in the first season and get better at what they do, and this is just a continuation of that. You don't need to see them, oh, we need to relearn different things and new things because,
Mhm.
Jim's in a new area, so he has to relearn a bunch of stuff. No, it's just he's figured it out. He's already trained, he's already capable. Again, like you're not stupid. We're not going to treat you as stupid as a
Yeah.
viewer. You can figure out
And
that he could learn it.
that's another thing I like, that he's trained, he already knows what he's doing, but he's still kind of new to this.
Yeah.
Like we said, he's captured in the
Okay.
first
Yeah,
episode.
it's
So
still a new
they
area to him. It's still something new. It's
yeah,
just something he's not familiar with.
it plays the balance really well.
Mhm. Like even learning how to take down the giant worm thing later is like something he has to learn. It's not something he knows until someone kind of tells him how to.
Yes.
So it's important. Like,
But
it shows he found his own way to survive and his own way to work things out and do things, but also there are still other ways that he could potentially learn that could help him, right? I enjoy that. Hello? I think HC has died on me, ladies and gentlemen. I assume so, anyways. I do not hear him. I don't know what to do here, ladies and gentlemen. HC has randomly died on me and I cannot hear him. It looks like everything is good on my end, though, so I think it's a him end. Anyways, moving on to... Oh, no. All right, I'm blind, ladies and gentlemen. He said keep talking, he'll be right back. Anyways, moving on, kind of moving on a bit. I personally enjoy seeing how Claire and Toby aren't just sidelined as... You get to see these two characters. Oh.
I'm
Weird.
sorry about this. People don't understand what it's like. I'm recording. Leave me alone.
I thought you died on me, so I had no clue what was happening until I read the post in Discord and then saw, oh, that's a thing.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh, no worries.
Walk needed something. But
No worries.
yeah, anyway. So what were we talking about in the meanwhile?
Yeah, I was just kind of getting into talking about Toby and Claire and the rest of the cast in the, in the world, in the overworld, in the normal world. I don't know what you call it, not in the Darklands. Talking about them kind of doing their own thing and being able to show that they're still very capable without Jim, right? That they're not just tag-alongs who need Jim to do anything, right? I enjoyed that because it broadened their characters and showed them doing a lot more, especially Claire, because sometimes in older shows anyways, in newer shows I think they've gotten a lot better about doing this. Claire would definitely be kind of sidelined a lot, just for the dent of being the girl character and the hero needs to get the girl kind of deal. And they treat Claire as very, no, she's doing stuff. She's very much leading the pack more often than not, right?
Yeah, that's another thing I like, that, because you say that, but it's also one of those things that the cliche can go both ways. That she can either be just the love interest that Jim gets, or she could be like the super tough girl that gets who's the only one that gets shit done because girl power is important. No, she has power. She's doing stuff. She's accomplishing things. She's useful, but it's also not overplaying it that we need to fight for representation or something. This is like how do they say it? They don't draw attention to it, which I appreciate.
But everyone gets their time to shine, really. Like Toby, Blinkus,
that's another thing. Even Toby, who's the comic relief, gets his moment to shine.
It's not Enrique as well, right? Like he gets his moments to shine too. Like they do more with him.
Yeah.
You even see, our previous bully character Steve grow a lot in this season as well and change.
This is the season where he's still a bully, but he's beginning to make the transition into, I don't want to say a good guy.
Frenemy.
Yeah, frenemy works.
Frenemy of Jim, he kind of makes that transition to, all right, you know what? There's more stuff going on than just us and our petty dispute here. So, he's going to pretend to be the bigger man, and say, like, I can do better and does better. And, you get a later episode with him and Eli, right? Another character who you don't really expect a lot from, but all of a sudden, again, they do a lot with, like Eli Pepperjack.
Yeah,
and you see this kind of Eli and Steve become good friends.
Yeah, this is something that, this season establishes, and we see more of that in the next season. But yeah, I like the fact that those side characters are not one-dimensional, because you could have totally kept Steve a bully and no one would care. Like,
yeah, he would have been fine.
But no, he's a person. He's not a one-dimensional bully. He actually has a personality, and we kind of figure out that the reason he is a bully in a sense is because he's kind of frustrated with himself. He's he's not really the best at anything. He's just trying to show that he's the best in order to compensate for something.
I agree. Like, you also see that, they don't try and make you sympathize with him. Like, they never tried, like, oh, he has a bit of a rough home life. You start to learn more about that
Yeah.
too. And it's like that doesn't excuse what he's doing, but it at least kind of gives you they give you the idea of, okay, this is why he does what he does, right? Like, you gotta,
Yep.
between this and Stranger Things, the Steves of the world are probably really happy they're being given a good light here.
Yeah.
From bullies to, yeah, yeah, you're a good
Yeah.
hero. You work.
Although I will say I probably prefer this Steve to Stranger Things Steve, even though Stranger Things Steve is also okay.
Eh, half and half. Could go either way.
Did Stranger Things Steve fought with the Knights of the Round Table? That's what I thought.
Not yet.
Moving on. So,
You never know with Stranger Things. Anything could happen.
yeah, who knows? Season 4 is coming sometime, maybe. I don't know.
Who knows?
Uh,
One day.
yeah, but one day. But maybe by the time it comes out, people will start getting nostalgic for the 90s instead of the 80s. Who knows?
Mm.
But basically, what going back to Stranger Things, oh boy, to Trollhunters. I'm trying to think if I can point out a favorite episode in this season.
Hmm.
Then I don't remember its name, but there's the episode where Jim kind of decides to give up the role of Trollhunter.
Ooh,
It's near the end of the season. I just don't remember a specific number or a name. That's so while you look it up, I'm assuming. And so there's this episode kind of where Jim kind of forfeits out of being the troll hunter. And it's something that Merlin actually, through the amulet, tells them, you don't want to do it. This is not something that's good necessarily. But he said,
I
you know what?
I don't think Jim willingly gives it up. I think you're talking about episode 11 where Jim is kind of shown what it would have been like if he never got the amulet.
Yeah, but I recall like him because he is aware of what he lost, you know. So maybe my memory might be a bit fuzzy on this, but I remember
It's been a
like
while.
it was, yeah, but I remember it was him giving up on it because the lesson he kind of learns at the end of the day is that him being the troll hunter, and what I like about this episode is that there's a reason why Merlin chose him.
Yeah, I think
There's a reason
that's
why
episode 11, I think.
it makes sense because it's one of the last episodes of the season. It's in the latter part of it. But yeah, I really like that episode where it's one of those what if scenarios, and I know a lot of shows do that, and a lot of people don't necessarily like those kind of plots. But I really enjoyed that what if scenario where he is aware of what he lost, and he is aware of all the things that changed on this one day where he picked up the amulet. And I also like the idea that considering he's the first human troll hunter, and he got a lot of shit for this. He had a lot of doubters. He had a lot of people not trusting of him being the troll hunter, and it even kind of carries on to this season. So, and it is nice to see that even though it was such a controversial choice in universe, he still did really good. He did better than the son of the previous troll hunter, and I like that episode for him.
Well, I think it's also really good because it also shows, Jim is going through that because of his rash decision to head into the Darklands alone, right? And
Mhm.
he's going through that because, Gunmar got out because of his decisions. He could have left everything be. He didn't have to go and save Enrique, but he did, right? But again, that just
Yeah,
shows Jim's character, right? He put everything at risk to save to save the trapped kids in the Darklands and everything, and he put everything at risk to do that. But that doesn't mean it was a good decision. That doesn't mean it doesn't come with doesn't come without consequences, because it does.
Yeah.
And one of those consequences is Gunmar does get free, and some of Gunmar's
Hmm.
allies do also get free. Not many, but enough to be a problem.
Hmm. Yeah, but again, I like this idea that the mistakes you made, fine, but it doesn't mean you're not capable. It
Yeah,
doesn't mean you're not
it
worthy
doesn't.
of this.
Like again, like all the
Yeah.
mistakes you made doesn't define you as as the hero here. It's the fact that you made those mistakes and continued to keep going and powered through them and did better, right?
Mhm.
Again, it's a good lesson.
Because we see that with Jim not being the troll hunter, the world was in a bit of a worse place than it was with Jim as the troll hunter.
Hmm.
Again, there was a reason for this. There was a reason why it was him who was chosen, despite not being a troll. So again, I like this that it doesn't. I'm a sucker for these kind of messages that it
Hmm.
doesn't matter if you're different. It doesn't matter if you screwed up every once in a while. As long as the heart is in the right place and you keep trying and you don't give up to your own mistakes, you're golden.
It could be nice. It's always nice to have them every now and again.
Yeah,
There's a lot
and
of
I
them, but they can still be nice as long as they're done well. And I think this is one of those times where it's done very
no,
well.
yeah, because if it was a show that did a spoiler, then I would say it's just a bunch of sappy cliches.
Mm.
But in this specific case, I really enjoyed it because I think they did it well. If I may jump ahead a bit, they kind of fucked it up in the next season, but I
We'll
won't
get
get
there.
into why just yet. The people who saw season three probably know what I'm talking about. So,
So for me, right, this season two did have a bit of a weird bit where I don't hate it, but I'm not sure exactly how I feel about it. So I'm curious to ask you. We
yes,
had the first, I want to say 5 to 6, I'll say
it's
five
around
episodes to
half a
get,
season.
to do everything in the Darklands and then eventually get out. And that's when, oh, we
Mhm.
find out at the very end, oh, Gumgar and some Gums also got out at the very end, right? And then we
Yeah,
have, I don't know, 4 to 5 episodes
of
of,
filler,
yeah,
basically.
it's not necessarily filler. There's stuff that's
Mm.
happening, but it's very much,
Yeah,
readjusting to life and just kind of getting
yeah,
back into the groove of things, if you will,
I
with
get
some
you. I
small
get
bits
you.
here and there connected back to that main plot of Gunmar, right? So I'm
Hmm.
curious, how
Yeah, I
did you
get you.
feel about that middle bit?
I'd say that I guess. I appreciate that there's at least one getting back into the swing of things episode because
Hmm.
we started this season after a cliffhanger and we were already kind of thrown into a loop because they, like I said, and it's a good thing they didn't rescue Jim right on the first episode.
God, could you
Uh,
imagine? All right, 2 months, have that cliffhanger ending of last time Jim's in the Darklands, come back. Oh, Jim's back again. We already rescued him. That was great. That was a
no,
great adventure.
not necessarily in this sense, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
they
yeah.
just have the first episode be the rescue mission, and
Hmm.
then we're back. So I'm glad that we actually got a lot of episodes devoted to this and to
Hmm.
bring him back and to see him surviving. That's great.
Hmm.
Having one episode after he's back to kind of like seeing to kind of have like a getting back into the swing of things, I'm okay with this. And while, like you said, there are some major plot things happening in those couple of episodes, I think it could have been handled better.
It's very small. I remember, I like the episode 7. Right, you have Jim's amulet duplicates him. Like I think the only thing we kind of got
Yeah,
background there was Claire. We got like a little bit of reveal of Claire with the shadow staff, and like something's going on there, and we've had a little bit of that built up, if I'm not mistaken, throughout this
yeah,
season, but it's been very
true.
small
But at the
stuff.
same time, this is also like a few seconds they could have put after every other episode. It doesn't need to be
Yeah,
that
yeah.
specific
What
episode.
what I'm saying though is we got that in that episode. The rest of it was just, Jim being duplicated, and that was the big issue, right? And trying to figure and solve
Yeah.
that while being at family barbecue of Claire's family, right? Like that was the big issue and
Yeah.
everything going on there. And I didn't dislike the episode by any means, but it felt like, I don't know, I kind of
But
just
it's like
not as
looking back
interested in this
though.
problem.
Mhm. Yeah, I get you because something, maybe I'm not sure, maybe I'm overthinking this, but maybe if it wasn't a binge show, like if it wasn't necessarily Netflix where you binge the whole thing, most people do at least. Maybe I could have gotten it a bit more if it was like a week to week episode. Then you know what? Cool. You get one episode to kind of get back into the groove of things and everything. But since this is a show that most people just sit down and watch beginning to end, it does raise a bit of an eyebrow that there's so little plot going on in these few episodes, where the first half was basically just one big thing that we needed to do, and now we did it. So what's next?
The only problem I would say is I don't know what I would replace these like 3 or 4 episodes with
Not
plot wise,
necessarily saying
right?
they needed to be replaced. I'm not saying that it's bad that they are there, because again, filler episodes aren't necessarily a bad thing. Filler episodes can be fun sometimes, but what I'm saying though is, considering the rest, considering like how they did the small teasers in all of them,
Mm.
if you would just did an episode like maybe, like you said, there's at the end of the barbecue episode, we see like a tease of Claire with the shadow staff, and it's like, okay,
Something's going
what's
on there, yeah.
yeah, man. So imagine if they devoted an episode to that instead of just being a tease.
I feel like that might have been too much though for
Or
an
maybe
episode.
you know what? Maybe
Let me ask
maybe
you
tease it
this.
in the episode, or maybe tease it in the episode where they rescue Jim, and then make an episode about it.
Good.
Give us that continuity.
Let me ask you this though. We knew kind of, if I'm not mistaken, I could be misremembering. Forgive me if I am. If I'm not mistaken, Dictatious also got out with Gunmar, and it's also very interesting to learn that to see Blinky's brother is actually still alive. Dictatious, right? And to see and learn
Mm-hmm.
more about him, understand everything he's gone through and had to deal with and everything. But if I'm not mistaken,
Yes.
Dictatious also gets out with Gunmar. What would you have thought about in those 4-ish, 5-ish episodes of getting back into the swing of things and just getting back used to life in Arcadia once more? What would you have thought about, oh, Gunmar's there, but we kind of put him on the back burner once again, and we just focus on Dictatious and stopping Dictatious for a bit, to
Yeah.
then get to the
Maybe the
last few episodes where, oh, big reveal, Gunmar,
you know
and
maybe
Usurna,
maybe not
and we
even
get to
just
that in a bit.
Dictatious, but because we again, alongside the two of them, other people got out of the dark realm, out of the dark realm,
Mm-hmm.
and so maybe just not
The sh-
necessarily do it like that, but maybe while doing the get back into the swing of things, maybe, but do it like, I don't want to say it necessarily like that because the shows are kind of different, but maybe like a Danny Phantom episode where like there's a thing going on in Jim's and the friends and his friends' lives, but there's this one bad guy per episode who came to Earth with Gunmal,
mm,
who's like
interesting.
who's doing something in this specific episode, and that way, yeah, you can say it's filler, but it's still, we beat one of Gunmal's
Henchman who got out,
friends.
right? Like, yeah,
Mhm.
we reveal like, oh, there is a few people that got out, but they're easy to take care of, and then we find out the big, big bad actually got out, and that's the big reveal, right? I think that'd be
Yes.
interesting. That way, it connects it back to our kind of big issue we had at the beginning of the season, and now we just have a few. And it shows also there's still consequences from that, right? And that kind of
Yeah.
leads really, in my opinion, I think I agree with you. That actually reads really well into episode 11 of finding out Gunmar, of episode 10 when we finally find out that Gunmar is free and Jim having to truly face the consequences of that and everything. I feel like that
Yes.
gap of 4-ish, 5-ish episodes where it's just okay, here's us just going back to normal life doesn't really show the
Again,
consequences as well, right?
mhm. Again, filler, not necessarily bad
Hmm.
filler, but
By
it's
no means.
really, it sticks like a sore thumb when you're doing a binge watch of this. And considering this was released on Netflix, most people probably did.
So I think the big question to ask is, what did you think about Usurna's reveal? That troll lady who turns out to be working with Gunmar.
Honestly, I don't want to say I saw it coming, but after Strickler in the first season, I was kind of keeping my eyes peeled
Mm,
for people like that.
fair. Yeah, I think it's a little hard to tell at the beginning when they want to destroy Killerhead Bridge, but because she's
Yeah,
so insistent, it does seem a
yeah.
little off. I think they play
It's
it
one
very
of those things.
well, but
Like
yeah.
it's one of the things I didn't necessarily suspect hell, but I suspected there would be another changeling.
Mm,
And when it was her, it was like, okay, it's her, yeah. I wouldn't say I was like, oh my God, I didn't see this one coming, but it's also like, okay, honestly, it's not that surprising.
did you think it was a good reveal?
I would say so. I would say so because again, it's not one of those things that like was a big shock to me because I was kind of suspicious anyone could be a changeling at this point, but it was a good the way they revealed her was good. Like there was a reaction there was a legit reaction out of the characters.
Hmm. Well, it was also, they did give us that whole thing of, oh, there's a changeling who can change into anybody. It's like they're gonna use that, and they kind of don't use that.
Yeah, it's one of those again. I guess it's one of those things that sadly it's kind of a tell done show where they say this
Mhm.
thing, but then the character doesn't really do it.
Yeah, no fair. So, and then the big,
But the fight scenes against her were cool,
oh
so
yeah,
I'll take
yeah,
that.
absolutely. I mean, I think they did great. I mean, we didn't talk about it as much in the first season, right? But this show does really great with animation and especially sound
Yeah.
design and especially like just sound
Mhm.
stuff as well. Like the fact that you
Don't
can
quote me
hear.
on this.
Oh, go ahead.
Don't quote me on this. Don't quote me on this, but I think the show was actually nominated for Emmys for both its animation and sound design. I'm not
Yeah.
100% sure. We should check it out, but
I
yeah.
I can understand why, because hearing this season, right, going back and watching the bit that I did get to refresh on, right, just
Mhm.
noticing that you can hear like when Jim's wearing the armor and slides down a chain, you can hear all the different chain links hitting the armor and how that would sound. It's just so
Yeah.
good. Like
Mhm.
it's just an attention to detail there that some shows wouldn't bother with. You just kind of hear a general sliding sound, but no, they paid extreme attention to detail with how the armor would sound and different things, and just how a lot of other
Mhm.
sounds would play off of one another. And they did exceptionally well with that. Like the sound team deserves a raise. DreamWorks, give it to them.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed.
They didn't probably have to go as far as they did, but they did, and it adds a lot to
But
it.
they did, and we loved them for it.
Hmm.
So anything else? Because I think I kind of covered most of my points.
Well, I think the next big reveal is Ventil's death. Right? We have Queen Userna reveal, "Oh, I'm actually evil," and then Ventil get killed. What did
Yeah,
you think
that's
about that?
true.
Personally, I wasn't too attached to Ventil. It was a big thing, but I don't think it was big as Arg getting frozen
Yeah,
in
it was
stone.
it's one of those, oh no, but at the same time, it's not something I took away from this as I probably should have.
It was definitely a kind of a feeling of, oh damn, I actually started to like him, man. All right, let's see where you go with it. But it wasn't. I don't think it carried as much weight as say, Blinky getting killed or Arg, when he got frozen in stone. I think that carried a lot more
Yeah, no,
weight.
it's not like that. But I guess, it was like an oh no moment, but it's also like I want to sleep over it.
Hmm. So, you said your favorite episode was Unbecoming, right? Episode 11, where Jim kind of
Yeah,
faces what it would be like if he
yeah,
gave up the amulet and everything.
yep.
Mm.
I really like that episode. That will be my favorite from this season. And what is yours?
My favorite episode. I think it would probably be when they go into the Darklands to rescue Jim and they have that big fight with everybody and just kind of getting
Yeah,
to see everybody have their big moments
yeah,
and
it's a good
their
episode,
moment,
no doubt.
that one, and then probably also, even though I said wasn't as fond of the quote unquote filler, I did still
Mhm.
like one episode of it, and that was when we got to see the introduction to Creep Slayers.
Mhm.
I actually kind of liked the back and forth between Steve and Eli a lot, and I really enjoyed
Yeah,
that. I think that was really good. So,
mhm.
and I
Yeah.
got to admit, like, it
And
got
like
me
Stephen
excited for a
again,
future season.
Yeah, Stephen Eli's relationship in this is starting off really well, but I don't think it reaches, its full glory, I suppose, until the next season.
Oh yeah, I think it gets a lot better in the next season, but and even other, and even like the Tales of Arcadia series, it gets a little bit more and a little bit better in a different series that we'll cover eventually. But I
Hmm.
think for me, this was a good starting setup for that, right? And I really enjoyed it more than what I thought I would. I kind of figured, Steve and Eli, this would be fun, but eh. But it actually ended up becoming something that was really enjoyable, and they played off each other way better than what I thought they would.
Agreed.
And
I
it
agree with
added a lot
this.
more than what I thought they would ever add to both characters, because again, these two characters in a lot of shows would have just been small side comedy bit. They wouldn't have been more than the, basic character they've already been established as, and that would be it. You might have a little bit of
Mhm.
laugh at them or fun with them, but that would mostly be it. Nothing major. But they actually gave them
Yeah.
a lot here. I think,
Hmm.
final question we can ask, least
Yeah.
favorite episode?
I guess one of the filler ones. I don't have a specific one, but like I said, it wasn't handled the best.
I can understand that. I think for me, it would also be one of those episodes. I think specifically, probably episode 7, Hero with a Thousand Faces. Wasn't too
Mhm.
interested in seeing the amulet acting up again, and there's multiple
Yeah.
gems now. Not a bad
Yeah,
episode
like
by any means, just wasn't my favorite.
again, you know something? I think it's one of those episodes that maybe would have been better if it was in season one.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's one of those, we want to use this, we have no clue how to use this. Season 2 would be fine. Throw it in here. We need something. I'm not going to
Mhm.
say it's what it
No,
was, but
like
it definitely kind of stands
again,
out as
it's not.
something, take it or
Again,
leave it.
there's a reason. There's a reason these episodes are called filler episodes is because the network demands a certain amount of episodes, and
Hmm.
not every episode can continue the plot necessarily. So this really felt like, okay, we got Jim out of the Darklands, and let's make an episode where there are multiple gyms running around because fun.
Hmm. Fun.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of fangirls would love multiple gyms around, but in regards to this episode, you could have done.
Let me just see, which one is that again? There you go.
I was actually thinking you're legit looking for like an episode to talk about or something, but no, you were looking for a damn sound effect. Good on you, Wolf. I'm proud.
You think I'm going to give you premium content on this show? No. We're
Well,
barely professional, and that's being generous.
but debatably amusing.
Mm. It's also being generous.
You
I
came up
have.
with this tagline. I
I
blame
did.
you. Mhm.
And it is
So,
honest.
anything else about Trollhunters season two? Because I think we basically covered everything we have
Yeah,
to say.
I know, like, we talk up this season a lot, and it is a really great season that I think continues on season 1 exceptionally well, but there's honestly
Yeah.
not a lot to say about it. I think
Uh,
it comes in,
Again,
tells you the
we
story it
probably
wants to tell
said.
you, and then
Mhm.
says, okay, moving on. And you're like, all
Yeah,
right,
because
moving
I
on.
think I don't know who said it, but it's one of those things where like it's easier to say what's wrong with a machine rather than why a machine is working perfectly.
Mm.
And this is kind of it that yeah, we really like a lot about this season, and we can talk about what we like about it, but you can more talk about what's wrong with something rather than what's amazing about something.
Agreed.
Because what's amazing, you can just say it's amazing and that's it. When it comes to actually critiquing, there's a lot more to it.
Hmm.
So, but again, don't take any of the criticism we have towards season two as a bad thing. We really enjoyed this season. We just think it's not perfect.
Yeah, I mean, again, it does better than the first season. I think they do continue on from the first season
And
exceptionally well. But
I think I should say that, overall, I think season two is my favorite of the Trollhunters side of things.
interesting. I think looking back, I'd probably pick season three personally.
We'll get we'll get to season three next week because you said you don't want to do the Citadel Hero. So
If I can help it. Again, that probably says something why I would like to do it because I think season three would is my favorite. But
mhm. Well, we'll talk about this next week. So anything else for season two? Or
just overall an enjoyable season, I would say. It
Mhm.
continues on Trollhunters quite well.
Indeed. So this was all for this episode of the Outcast. We hope you enjoyed. What are your thoughts about Trollhunters season two? What episode is your favorite? Do you agree with us on some of the stuff we didn't like? Do you agree with the stuff we did like? You can tell us all about it in the comment section below on our Tumblr, which is Bearcast Team, and on our Twitter, which is Bearcast with a capital B, capital C. So until next time, I was HC.
I was Wolf. Now expect us to fill in for 20 minutes so we can get our hour-long episode as usual.
Or maybe not, because maybe we can have shorter episodes too, and then people actually watch them because they're short. And
No.
we will see you all next time. Take care.
Bye bye.